Nintendo Indie World. So between our recordings, Nintendo announced and then presented the latest Indie World showcase. Now, just to sort of couch this, there's 24 games in this, so I think we're trying to be a bit smart about how we're actually going to go through this and go through it in pretty much rapid fire. And the actual presentation's not very long, so it's about a minute per game, or not even on average. So, very much go and watch the video. But probably, the first thing we should point out, and, as we do normally try to call out the big piece of news first, that, Swinny's favorite game, Untitled Goose Game, is getting a 2-player update, co-op update. And that's from Australia's own House developer. So, that's coming out on the 23rd of September. And it seems like that would be incorporated in the physical edition as well. So I'm actually looking forward to this because my wife struggled to get to play this game and solve the puzzles for Untitled Goose Game. So I think it'd be a really cool way for us to play it together. Just will be interesting to see if, there's a lot of changes to the game because of the co-op. And, I said that it's your favorite game. Have you actually played this game?
Yeah, I've played it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you like it?
I respect the game. I just don't think it's a great game. It's I think it's funny. It's it looks great. Its audio design is really cool. Just the actual gameplay loop just didn't appeal to me. But I would say that to me, this wasn't the biggest piece of news. It was a certain game that I'll call out when we get to it. So.
Okay, fair enough. I think, for the kind of mainstream, it's probably the biggest piece of news, and that's why they put it last as well. But yeah, so let's get through it. So what I've done is extensive research
I'll
much as I could.
I'll counter that when we get to it.
Would it counter my extensive research, or what's the biggest game?
No. Well, you'll see.
Okay, fair enough. So what I've done is, because essentially this had a lot of ports, so really what I want to go through and think through, what's interesting because it's the first time it's come out, or it's the first time you can play it on a console versus PC or Apple Arcade. When is it coming out? All this other kind of stuff. So I'll kind of rapid fire go through it, and then maybe we'll pick out a few games that are interesting to us. So games that are launched exclusively on Switch, so the first time we've seen it, Raji, an Ancient Epic, and Evergate as well. They are coming out on other platforms later. What's available now as a console exclusive, so has been either on PC or Apple Arcade, A Short Hike, Takeshi and Hiroshi, and INMOST. What's available now, and it's pretty much on everything, Manifold Garden and Spiritfarer, so that's also included on Xbox Game Pass. Coming this year to the Switch as a Switch exclusive, but been on other places, Struggling, Grindstone, and Hades. Coming next year as a Switch console exclusive, at least it hasn't been confirmed on anything else so far, is Bear and Breakfast, Garden Story, and Card Shark. New games coming out this year, and they're pretty much going on everything. Haven, Going Under, Goner 2, and The Red Lantern. New multi-platform console ports, so things that are going on multiple consoles at the same time this year. Torchlight 3, Unrailed, and Hypnospace Outlaw, which is also going to be on Xbox Game Pass. Is this the one you wanted to talk about?
No, but we'll
okay, I'm almost done.
I'll give my thoughts at the end.
And then finally, the new multi-plat console ports, but they're coming next year. Subnautica Below Zero, and She Dreams Elsewhere. Now, some of those aren't, going on PlayStation or aren't going on Xbox. We'll post it when we post the clip on YouTube where they're all going. But I think that's probably the best way to think about the games. So what was the one that really stood out to you?
It's the one they started with. It's Hades. To me, that's the biggest story.
Yeah, so that stood out to me as well.
Hades had not been confirmed for any console at this point. It's only ever been a PC in early access form.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it's on PC in early access. And Supergiant has a lot of name recognition, and not only Bastion and Transistor were huge games, Bastion especially. But so to me, this was a big news story, not a bloody co-op mode in Untitled Goose Game. Hades is a title that a lot of people are looking forward to, and whether or not it's because they didn't want to play it in early access form or they were waiting for a console port. But to me, that's the one that stood out the most. And also, I will say, while it's not the biggest name game, I do love Hypnospace Outlaw. And it's really interesting that it's got keyboard and mouse support on Switch, which is fantastic because
Oh,
that game you'd struggle to do that, use that for control, I think, because the whole point is you're navigating around GeoCity style kind of, old school websites and doing like searching for copyright strikes and stuff like that. So
okay. That's really interesting. Yeah, because I saw that and I just, yeah, I'm surprised that they're allowing that. I know that generally the Switch allows for keyboard and mouse, like it's pretty native for a long time in the Switch, but you don't normally see those things get activated or used.
well, that game got a lot of buzz when it first came out, so wouldn't surprise me if they actually got an exception if there is any kind of restrictions around it, simply because it's a game that when it comes out, even though it's not a new game, I think it will have a bit of a potentially mini blow up now that people are like, oh, you can use keyboard and mouse on the Switch, and this game's really cool, and it's got awesome soundtrack and visual style. And anyone who hasn't checked out Hypnospace Outlaw, it's also on Xbox Game Pass, which is great. And it's just a fun kind of old school. Just yeah, I don't know how to classify it. It's almost a game without a genre. It's crazy.
Mm. And just going back to Hades, because that was one that really stood out to me. And Supergiant Games like have very storied history, a lot of great games that have released, and a really big thing for me, a couple of things, as we sort of spoke about at the start of the whole show, being a dad, the Switch is just like the best dad device that could ever exist. People are calling out or whatever, you just press the power button, it just snaps the game, deal with whatever you need to deal with, great. If you have a bit of free time again, you can just resume playing, which is just freaking awesome. But I do love playing on PC as well as, the other consoles. But Hades, what I loved is they actually are supporting cross-play saving. So, you can progress on the Switch, like, and it just does it with the cloud, and then you could just go back to your actual PC and continue playing, which is just like, it's surprising how critical it becomes for me as a selling point with these kind of games. And I'm really glad that Rocket League updating, so they're going to change the whole progression system soon. But games like Skyrim, which, again, I'm going to start playing for our game of some other year, 2011, like, it actually made me really choose and think, where am I playing that? Because you can't support cross-play and cross-save with that game. So I'm going to play it on the Switch, but, I would have loved if that also supported me jumping back to PC and playing it on PC a little bit and then going back to the Switch. So, yeah, and probably, from this indie world, the other big thing I wanted to just point out was it actually made me sign up to Apple Arcade to try out a few of these games. So I tried Takeshi and Hiroshi and a few other games. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Apple Arcade, like, the games are actually very high quality, but it feels like just a great idea, but just doesn't really make sense for that platform. And I'd love to know the numbers that they sell on that, because it doesn't feel like anyone talks about Apple Arcade. And I know you don't have any Apple devices, so you don't have it, obviously, but yeah, it's a good service, but I don't know, it seems a bit strange. And then you compare it to like Xbox Game Pass from a value point of view, and it's just, kind of almost laughable, right?
Well, I wouldn't say laughable. I mean, it's still a good deal. I think if you like the games that are on there, you're still able to get them for a pretty decent price. And you can cancel when you finish playing the majority games you wanted to play, assuming, I don't know how many new games they're putting on each month to Apple Arcade. But there's some good ones on there. I can't remember.
Oh, really good.
What's the title of that synthwave shoot 'em up kind of game? What's the name of it? Trying to find it. Trying to find the name of it. It's got I can't find it.
Sayonara Wild Hearts?
That's it, Sayonara
Yeah.
Wild Hearts. So that's the game out of all of them that I want to would have liked to play the most, but it's obviously not anything else just yet. Unless they did they announce a Switch port for that, or am I misremembering that one?
So I think it's out for the Switch already, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, actually just check. It's out for the Switch, it's out on Xbox One. And I think that's the weird thing about Apple Arcade, because all the good games, they're just porting them, which I kind of don't think is a really good sign for Apple Arcade, to be honest. Kind of reminds me of the Wii U. Feels like every good game is getting ported because people are talking about it and going, "Oh, you got to play this game. It's just amazing," and people don't want to sign up to it or pay for a game on sort of Apple Arcade. So like What the Golf, a lot of people spoke a lot about that. It ended up getting ported to Nintendo Switch. Maybe that was always their intention. But yeah, there's a bunch of games I want to play. I've got a free trial for a month. I'll see how I go. I'll try to get through most of the games that I'm interested in. There's Rayman. There's just a lot of games on there, man. Shantae. Yeah, like Sayonara Wild Hearts. I installed so many, I ran out of storage on my phone. So, but yeah, no, I think it was a good showcase. I don't know what your overall thoughts on the showcase was. I thought it was good, and I actually liked the pacing of it, just really trying to burn through it rather than drag anything out.
It was a terrible showcase. They didn't announce a new Smash Brothers character.
No, fair enough.